During my first playthrough of Hollow Knight Silksong, I had no intention on seeing everything that the game had to offer. I originally just wanted to go through, do the main objectives, and see the end of the game. A plan that would get thrown out the window the moment I got to the High Halls Gauntlet. I was stuck on this stupid gauntlet so long it forced me to go out and do other things in the game, because I just had to accept that I could not do it. And instead of losing my mind as I already was over and over and over and over again, I decided to go and level up a bit. And thank God I did. Because honestly, this game is amazing. And if I didn't get stopped here with this roadblock, I don't think I would have ever experienced everything it had to offer. See, my problem was that I played the game in a linear fashion. Something you probably shouldn't do with a Metroidvania in the first place. But if you were to follow what seemed to be the main objective in the original Hollow Knight, you could play it in that somewhat linear fashion. You would have to backtrack and find the different routes as you got different power-ups, but you had to eventually acquire the double jump. Meanwhile, in Silksong, you can roll the credits without ever acquiring the double jump or even going to the area the double jump is in. And so, after much exploring and fulfilling many wishes, I finally returned to the High Halls, where, after some more trial and error, I was finally able to conquer the gauntlet and obtain the last melody I needed to ascend to the cradle and face Grandmother Silk. And, spoiler alert, after you finally beat her, you're met with what's a pretty dog shit ending and rolling the credits. Yeah, that's how my first experience playing the game ended. Now, luckily, this isn't the true ending of the game. Come to find out later, there was actually an entire act I had completely missed. An act that expands on the story vastly, brings harder bosses, and ties directly into Hollow Knight. I think it's common for a lot of people to have their first playthrough of Silksong to end just like mine did. And as great as the game is, I think it's one of the few reasons that Silksong doesn't get the same amount of recognition or credit as the Game of the Year winner, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. See, to get to the final act of Silksong, you have to be a completionist. You have to see just about every corner this game has to offer, or else you can't even access the quest to get to the final act. Meanwhile, if you only focus on the main objective and the main story of Expedition 33, you can see the main crux of what the game has to offer, of the story it tries to tell. Spoiler warning for the different Act 2 endings of Silksong ahead. If you decide that you want your 17-hour playthrough of Silksong to be the only playthrough of Silksong, you'll probably be met with an ending in which essentially Hornet becomes the new Grandmother Silk, the new monarch of Farloon. And that's it. That's how the game ends. A real sour note if you ask me. But on the other hand, you could do all the side content and complete the Silken Soul quests, which would instead allow you to trap her. Now, trap her with what, some people may ask? Oh, well, only by springing upon Grandmother Silk, the Void itself. Yeah, the Void that, the Pale King used and threw all of his children into the abyss to try to make this grand vessel. The same one that helped bind the light that plagued the dreams of the bugs of Hollow Nest. Yeah, that Void. And then, as Grandmother Silk's being pulled into the Void itself, she tries to take you, Hornet, into the Void with her. And then out of nowhere, Lace, an adversary that you encounter multiple times in the game, she comes out of the rafters and impales her, what's essentially her own mother, freeing you from your eternal doom in the Void and binding herself to an eternal doom in the Void. And then, now because Lace is being dragged into the Void with her, Grandmother Silk attempts to stave off her impending imprisonment for eternity in a desperate attempt to protect her daughter. And what are the consequences of this fighting back, you may ask? Well, now Farloom is in even more peril than it was during the haunting, as now the void is what threads through the entirety of Farloom. Yeah. This small turn of events is what took Silksong and put it over Expedition 33 for me. What was originally, in my opinion, a pretty basic story where you go and you find your captor and essentially just become the new oppressive force, turns into a story of hope, of sacrifice, and of perseverance. A story of defying one's nature and breaking the cycles of the past and growing to become something better, to build something better. It's something you see with multiple characters such as Sherma, Hornet, Garmund, and even the 3 shamans. All of this eventually accumulates into one last dive into the void, where you fight to free Farloom from the void once and for all. If you have not experienced Act 3 of Silksong yet, I beg of you to go back and get there and play it, because you are missing out. It's definitely worth it. All of this, and I still haven't even talked about the music of Silksong yet. If you sit down and actually listen to it soundtracked, it's really amazing. From the themes of each area, which had a unique feel to the distinct new places, or the various boss themes, some of which use music as a way to help tell or convey a story, such as with the Cogwork Dancers fight. And yet the soundtrack didn't feel too memorable on my first playthrough, especially not compared to something like Expedition 33. Well, I think this would be another way in which the game design of a Metroidvania like Silksong struggles to keep up with a game like Expedition to an average gamer. There's many clips out there of people just taking a moment to sit back and enjoy the music of Expedition 33. While in Silksong, it's too often that you don't get the chance to relax. This is something that's especially true with the boss themes, as while the music adds to the atmosphere, you're immediately on your toes and neck deep in a fight to the death. Meanwhile, when Minoko's theme starts to play during his fight, I get to just sit there and vibe for a bit. I don't have to worry about immediately being in the battle. No matter the stakes, you can always have a minute to soak in the art and the music in a turn-based game such as Expedition 33. This doesn't make it definitively the better game, but I think it makes it an easier one to appreciate. Meanwhile, on my 17th attempt of the damn High Halls Gauntlet, I don't care if the music was heaven sent, because I'm getting clapped by 2. Yeah. 2. Not 1, but 2 clappers. Again. Fitting that they be called clappers for how much they clapped the shit out of my cheek. So I may have gotten just a teensy bit carried away there. Ultimately, Silksong just doesn't give you the opportunity to separately appreciate something such as the music, which is just another thing that hurts the common perception of the game. If you ask me, I genuinely believe that Silksong does have the better soundtrack. Now that's just my opinion, but the quality and variety of the music, with not only how much it adds to the atmosphere of the game, but how enjoyable it actually is to just listen to it while I'm working or just going about my life, it's genuinely unforgettable. I absolutely love Silksong. So much so that I actually went ahead and got the platinum for the game. If you ask me, it's an improvement from Hollow Knight in every single way possible. Now granted, it's not an experience for everyone. Neither was the original Hollow Knight. Some people will stop playing it because it's too hard, while others will get the first ending and decide to move on to another game. But for those of us who strive to see every corner of this game, who overcome the obstacles standing in our way and obtain the full experience of what Silksong has to offer, It's a gaming experience truly unlike any other. An experience that, if you ask me, makes it definitively my game of the year for the year of 2025.
Pushanka.